The big girls love that. Chicks love the last shot opportunity. Somebody give me a napkin so I can wipe my mouth.
I mean, I know you were telling me about, we were talking about people who influenced me. And the greatest influence, the person I would say would be Jackie Robinson, for what he had to endure. Because he was like Martin Luther King, of what he had to endure. You know, he didn't get beaten, but he was so abused by, you know, people just chanting. Could you imagine being in a crowd of people and people freely saying the word nigga over and over again?
Every single game.
Every single game you played.
And these dudes play every day.
Every day. And to endure that, he had the biggest sack of balls I've ever seen. We talking about Jackie Robinson, because I can't imagine, and I think Branch Rickey was the guy who wanted to hire Jackie and said, look, you can never outwardly strike back. You have to keep that in. I can't even imagine that. You know, you and I were talking about the movie Green Book. And you think about the one part in the Green Book was like, it was shocking when they brought it to the whole basketball format. Mm-hmm. And the guy said, they started talking about, the world champion Boston Celtics came through here. And they're big kahuna. And they were talking about Bill Russell wanted to eat. And the guy said, I wonder where he ate at. And the manager of the restaurant, I know, it wasn't here. Because we weren't taking on black people. We didn't allow blacks to come in our restaurant and sit down and eat. And they were barnstorming. So, but for Jackie Robinson, what he did, what he had to endure, I can't even fathom that. It was a story that my father and mother and my family, we were in Brunswick, Georgia, 1964. My father just got back from Vietnam, or maybe a little bit later. Maybe it was a little bit later. Maybe it was 66. But he had gotten back, and me and my brother went into a bathroom in the gas station. Used the bathroom, and the guy didn't see us. And then we came back out, and my mother was going in afterwards. And he said, no, miss, you can't, no, you can't go in there. I said, what? No, your bathroom is in the grease pits. Nasty. The thing that people do every day is go to the bathroom. So one of the most common things you do is like eating or breathing. You got to go to the bathroom. They took that away because of the color of your skin. That to me is unimaginable. I know a lot of people like to talk about, oh my God, I remember and this and no. I lived it. I didn't read about it. I lived it during that time.
That's how I learned about it.
And then that's why I know it. Is you running for a textbook. I lived it. There was signs in my hometown of Kinston, North Carolina, colored and white. My grandfather, I'm still just blown away. My great-grandfather, in order to read, it was something called the Jim Crow rule. In order to vote, he had to be able to read the preamble to the Constitution. Dude, how many people know that? But because of who he was, he couldn't read, they would not allow him to, vote. And he was the last person. I do remember him signing his name, and he signed his name with an X. Mm-hmm. He didn't know how to read or write. So that to me was just like a whole nother thing. But what Jackie Robinson had to endure as a person, I mean, it defies anything that I could even imagine.
Did you ever go through something like that coming up, like playing in high school or college?
No.
Predominantly white schools, no?
No, we never did. I think that by the time I was coming up playing in the 70s, a lot of those things were, if it was underground. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like it is, during that particular time when you couldn't go into a building or you couldn't go into an entrance or you could not, just think of it this way. You couldn't drink out of a water fountain because the water fountain had the word white on it.
Whites only.
Whites only. You couldn't go sit in a doctor's office. You couldn't get on a bus.
Wow.
You get on the bus, there was an area for colors. There was an area for whites only. You know, I talk about that, but also you talk about Rosa Parks. You know, the black woman who was just tired. She said, I ain't moving. I ain't getting out this damn seat. The white man said, no, this is white area. No, I ain't moving. Hell with this. Screw you and whoever, you know.
Man, when a black woman's fed up, man, that's it.
Black woman pissed off and tired. And you trying to tired. Feet hurting. Yeah, Rosa Parks like, hell no, I ain't moving. And that's
you don't have to arrest me.
Look, that started the revolution.
Yeah.
That essentially, so there were people in Greensboro, North Carolina, who wanted to eat. I want to say it was Chris. It was a 5 and dime type store, you know, Woolworths, and those students at Greensboro were eating at the lunch counter. They were spit on. They were thrown at. Yeah, I mean, we talk about this stuff, and even now, if I think about it, just how threatening it is. Could you imagine? I don't know the number, but it was, I want to say it was 5 young black kids who went into a predominantly white school, and they were kids. Mm. And it was a little segment in Forrest Gump about it, where he showed these kids, and then the people were protesting and throwing and all this. But these were first and second graders.
Wow. First and second graders going into a classroom to get educated. That people did not want them to go into that school because of the color of their skin. Mm.
Can you imagine somebody right now protesting against a second grader or a first grader in today's world?
Just trying to learn his times tables. Just trying to learn how to read and write.
Yeah. I got to think about somebody called me a coon or a nigga. That to me is like you going home, you're terrified. Yeah. Those were people, even as great as Jackie Robinson was, those kids were even beyond him because they didn't even know how to comprehend what was happening. At least Jackie Robinson was an older man, but these kids who went to school at that time and went through that abuse to go into this all-white school, you can imagine what you had to learn. Mm. And what your parents had to tell you. How afraid were you if you were a parent of a kid like that?
You had that conversation. You had to say, look, unfortunately, you're different.
Yeah, but
you're going to go through things that not every kid
I'm not even
through.
Thinking about that. I'm thinking about, as a parent, what are you thinking about your child? Mm-hmm. Every single moment that child has left, you're wondering, is that child going to make it home? But that isn't the kind of life that you think about what America was and where we are now and all the differences and kind of we're bridging and going back and forth. But those kids are my idols. That 5, I think it was 5, that went into that grade school in Alabama or Mississippi or wherever it was. Those kids are my heroes that I look at and going, oh my God, the intestinal fortitude. Now, when I start thinking about basketball or think about athletes, I always think about Jackie Robinson because he was the first real black person that went into our national pastime and had to do what he had to do. I mean, there was supposedly an article that the Red Sox did not want Jackie Robinson on their field, and that was when there was Yaki said, get that nigga off my field. Reportedly, get that nigga off my field. Boston Red Sox were the last team to immigrate. Mm-hmm. Boston Red Sox. Last team to take on a black player.
And this is like 50 years ago. This is
50 years ago, and now let's fast forward and let's go about going to the White House.
Yo, Max, you're never gonna let this go.
I would never let that down. That wasn't, dude. And you're talking about one of the most uncoolest things that's ever been in Boston to me is that.
Is that?
Huh?
That's up there? Is it Jackie Robinson number 1? Number 2 is going to the White House?
I don't even, because I mean,
They're together because of what the Red Sox did. You applaud the Red Sox by going, well, Yawkey Way, and he was racist, so we're going to get rid of Yawkey Way.
Jersey Street.
Now we're going to turn it into Jersey Street. Yep. Okay. We applaud you, Red Sox. Mm-hmm. You're sensitive. You understand things. 4 months later, you go to the White House?
Smiling next to Donald Trump.
Yeah, with no black people. and Mookie Betts is your star player.
There's like 13 players next to Donald Trump.
Who is and we can speak it more to you. Like, who is their coach?
Yeah, Alex Cora.
What does he mean to you?
It means a lot.
First
Latino manager to win a World Series.
What did they mean to him when they went to the White House?
Slap in the face. Slap in the face. My guy was down in Puerto Rico trying to help out his people. Meanwhile, the rest of the squad is going to the White House, shaking hands with Trump. He spoke out about it too, which is good, but they didn't care. The organization didn't care.
Well, and you asked me where you said how I can't let go of that. That's why I can't let go. Is I look at what they did. I applaud them on one hand, and if I can applaud you on one hand, I can sure criticize you on the other hand for what you did. That was just like, really? I mean, even the whole thing with the Patriots going, and just carrying a certain amount of people there. I didn't like that. Mm-hmm. But you didn't go out of your way as a Patriot to change the street because somebody was racist. And all the things that Yawkey has done the Yawkey family has done for Boston. With the hospital and all the people who have benefited from the hospital. But you decided at that time that his racist views were enough to make you change a street that was near the ballpark. Mm-hmm.
The oldest ballpark in America, too.
Right.
That tradition. Why'd you finally change it?
Why'd you change the street? I asked you that question. Why did they change the street?
Why they changed it? To make themselves look good.
Why did they change it? I mean, why did they change it? Because
of what Yawkey stood for. The last person that wanted to see a black player in a Red Sox uniform. He had some of the most talented prospects, but he would make sure they would never get moved up. They stayed in AAA or they stayed in the minors on purpose. Even throughout those years where they needed some good players to get moved up because they were an awful team for X amount of years, he refused to bring them up. He'd either trade them or he'd stick with what he got.
And you decided at that time that those racist views made it so that you had to change a street that was named for him. But then 3 months later, you win the World Series.
We go to the White House. Let's go. It's time to meet Donald Trump.
Are you kidding me? Is that how that goes? Is that how that goes? And you ask me why I can't let it go?
Okay, well, you in the past as well, you get mad when people say Boston's a racist city.
No, I can't.
You see when you see stuff like that happen. You don't know why people think that.
I wouldn't think that Boston is a racist city, but that's a racist thing to happen. I don't think that Boston is a racist. I don't think Boston has a monopoly on racism.
But people tie it in.
I don't think
from the outside looking in, people tie it in.
I don't think that Boston has a monopoly on racism. I really don't, man. I was in LA when I played with the Clippers, and I'm sitting I was downtown going to have lunch with this girl, and I remember I'm sitting in this car, and I hear somebody over the microphone going, "You in the blue car, put your hands outside the window." And I'm thinking like, whoa, there's somebody who's in trouble. So I looked at my car, it was blue. I was like, what the hell? The dude comes up on me, I got my hands out. I'm like, what did I do? It's reported that a car was stolen from the airport. I'm a multi-millionaire. Dude, what the hell are you talking about? And then the guy, after it was over, the guy goes, "You're Cedric Maxwell, aren't you? Hey, you mind if I have your autograph?"
What?
Oh,
please
man. No, I did. There was a policeman. There's a policeman. I did, but it was like, are you serious though? And when it comes to that,
you fit the description.
Description of what? A blue car was stolen.
That's all they needed to know.
A blue car was stolen. A black man was in there. I mean, that happened to me when I was in school one time, and I remember college. We used to go at UNC Charlotte, and during the 70s, we'd make these late runs, and there was a place legendary called Krispy Kreme Donuts. And late at night, they'd have a red light on. That light meant that the donuts were going to be hot.
Yeah, I remember that. Fresh. Yeah, we used to have one here in Denver.
Fresh and hot.
Yeah.
So we make a run, me and this white guy, at 2 o'clock in the morning. We going, we get our donuts, we come back, and all of a sudden, these police cars come about 7, 8 police cars come out of no place, surround us, tell us to put our hands up. He gets out of the car, and they're looking at him. He has his hands up, and they tell me to get out of the car. Next, I get out of the car, and I stand up, and I hear the guy on the microphone said, "Too tall, Joe. He's too tall." And all the cars disappeared, and we're standing there, essentially like shocked, like, what the hell happened? They identified there was a black guy and a white robber, and I was 6'8", and that's the reason they just like didn't say a word, just out here. He's too tall, Joe. He's too tall. All the police cars disappear, and then we're in the middle of the street going, what happened? What the hell happened? So people want to identify about blackness.
No apology, no nothing.
So people want to identify about blackness and issues about people. Dude, I've lived all these things that people want to talk about. I've lived most of them. I can't say I lived all of them, but I was alive when Martin Luther King was assassinated. I was around then. I was during the 60s and during the early 50s when you could not go into a bathroom, you could not go into a restaurant, you couldn't go to certain places because you were black. So that's why I have a different perspective,
of course,
than what somebody else might have about blackness and about these issues. We talk about race and what's funny and what's not, and that's why and I'm not saying that I'm, as I like to say, the professor of ebonics, and I know it all about racism and all that, but I lived a lot of things that people have only read about.
This episode of the Cedric Maxwell podcast is brought to you by betonline.ag. Right now, when you head over to betonline.ag and enter the promo code CLNS50, you'll get a 50% welcome bonus just for listening to this podcast. A minimum deposit of $55 is required to qualify for the bonus. Please see BetOnline's general rules for additional terms and conditions. That's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag, your go-to site for online betting. Make sure you enter that promo code CLNS50. All right, let's get back to Cedric Maxwell. Damn, Max. I have stories too, but your stories are just over there. They top mines, man. I can't even, like, to get pulled over, the quote-unquote fit the description thing, and then obviously what you saw as a kid, man, you saw a lot.
Too tall. I will always remember those words. Too tall, Joe. Soup. All these cars disappear. And we're standing there at 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning with hot donuts. We're like,
you still got donuts?
We had already bought the donuts.
Gotcha, yeah.
We had already bought the donuts. So hot donuts. All of a sudden, these squad cars come out of no place. It was a black guy and a white guy who were robbing people. And they identified it as us until I got out of the car and I stood up at 6'8". Too tall, Joe. Too tall. Cars all gone. We're all just like, guess we'll go back to eating our donuts. Won't let them get cold.
Give me someone else, man. Who else is an influential person in your life?
Well, I think my father would be, because he's the one that went to Vietnam, watching how he grew up, the things he went through, Muhammad Ali, all these different athletes who were before me, the two gentlemen who at the, and I'll get their names wrong, so I'm not going to go there, but they were at the Olympics in 1960. John Carlos is one of them. I forgot the other gentleman's name, but they give the Black Power salute, put a black glove on the stands, and they get run out of the Olympic Village because of for what they did and what they said. And you fast forward to that now, and you think about Kaepernick kneeling.
some things haven't changed as much as we want to really, that we really like. That we think, oh my God, it's such a different country, a different time. Mm-hmm. And then you see stuff like that where these two men, one medaled. They had medaled. One had won a race, and the other one was third. And they got ostracized because of their political, opinions. Mm-hmm. And that was after they had won. They didn't say anything. All they did was put their fists up in the air. Put their fists up in the air in solidarity. Kaepernick, when he goes out,
didn't say anything.
And kneel, what does he say?
Just kneel.
Just kneel. Yeah. And he talked to a person. He talked to a veteran about this, and the veteran told him how, what would be right, what would be respectful to our veterans. But our president turned that around completely and made it one of these things like, hey, wouldn't you just like to see him get one of those son of a bitches and, you're fired? And I remember one of the football players said, my mom isn't the son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm. My mom's not a bitch. Yeah.
My mom, has cultivated, classrooms. She has mentored all these different kids. So it's just really, we're in a more of a chaotic time and here I was, literally brought to tears when Obama won the presidency. And now I feel like we've as far as we went forward, I feel like we've gone that far backwards now. We've gone just the opposite way. President Obama was, I don't care if you liked him, didn't like him, he was a dignified president that we could look at every single day and we go, that's my president. Mm-hmm. That's, even if you did not like him, I don't think that you could go like, oh my God, he embarrassed me. Mm-hmm. He did something today.
He was presidential.
Yeah, he was presidential. Whereas we look at our president now, and he is our president still. He's our president. And we look at him going, what did he say? What did he say about the weather map?
It's every week now. Sharpie game?
Yeah. I said it's going to pray for Alabama. It's not even going to Alabama. And now I'm going to sell some pens to make money about a mistake that I made. Oh, they never can be wrong. Anybody who can't be wrong is an idiot. Anybody who can't admit that they were wrong
issue an apology.
Is an idiot. Yeah. Is a damn idiot. If you're that blindsided that you can't see that, hey, I made a mistake, and you're representing not just your constituents, but you're representing all of us.
And this isn't even a mistake that would be criticizing the Democrats or the Liberal Party. This is just a mistake that he just made a mistake. Yeah. Hurricane wasn't going that way. You just didn't do your research enough. You didn't look up.
Let me get the pen. Hold on. Let me get the pen. I think it's going to Alabama. And my man Jimmy Cantore, who is one of the best weathermen out there, goes, No, it's not. It's gonna take a turn and go up Florida coastline. Yeah, it's like, really?
I can imagine talking to his publicist too, telling him the situation. You know what, President? Hey, take this Sharpie over. Yeah. We gotta fix this real quick. Nobody will notice. You'll be all right.
The president is.
But what if Obama did that, Max? I always think,
oh, man. Well, it's really just strange because you would think there are times when you think about Obama, it almost seems like that's all that's on Donald Trump's mind. Mm. Everything that Obama did. Nope, get rid of that. Yeah. Nope, I don't want that. Obama, he did. You're the president now. Obama did his 8 years.
Right.
Mr. Obama did his 8 years.
Show us what you got.
You give me your thing. Why are you always measuring like the first day of when he became the president? I had more people than Obama. Dude,
you didn't run against Obama.
But they show a picture of the screen and say, okay, here's the crowd that was at Obama's inauguration, all these people, and here's the crowd, and it's smaller. Mm. You lying. It's fake news. It's a picture of the people who were there. How do you go? How
do you? I was talking to a woman who was just in my house the other day, and I felt something that I said. I was talking about the president. She was like, "Well, we can't let everybody in this country."
Oh boy.
Dude, I wanted to say, if the rules were the way Trump wants it now, his father would have never gotten in.
Yeah.
A lot of people would have never gotten in this country because, you got to bring a college education. People couldn't even read and write. Coming from Ireland and coming from all these different countries. You could from wherever. But and I understand about venting and bringing people in your country, but you've gotten to a point now where America was the land of opportunity. That people looked over the country, looked over, Europe and saying, "Oh my God, those, that woman in the harbor, give me you're tired, you're weak, you're sick, whatever it is, and okay, you can come to this country and make something of yourself.
Not just yourself, but you can make something of your family, generation after generation. You've paved the way.
Well, that's what Donald Trump's family did. Donald Trump's family did that.
So why isn't he more understanding then? That's the problem.
I think because
lacks compassion.
Because I think he's tapped into one thing about what's going to make him president again, and he doesn't care
what the party wants to hear. That's
whatever
everything he says
and whatever they say is like the whole thing about doubling down. Mm-hmm. I'm a triple down. You know that Sharpie? Matter of fact, I'm gonna get those Sharpies. I'm gonna put my name on them. I'm gonna sell them. It's like, you're gonna do what?
But he won't go on record and say I fucked up. He won't say that. He'll never say that.
The big girls love.
Hello. We can end right there.
Somebody give me a napkin so I can wipe my mouth.